Hi everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen, and as you can see from this quick little look here, I'm going to be showing you how to make decorations for a Spider-Man cake, specifically the Spider-Man mask and face, and some buildings to go along with it. And so, if you see me use any supplies or tools that you can use, check the link in the description below. It takes you to my website. It should be able to help you out. And now here's the full video. Okay, if you need to have a template, you can take a moment, screenshot the screen there, get a picture of what I'm using, and print it out. And once you get it printed out, just do as I do here, and then just very carefully cut out your Spider-Man. I'm going to be starting by cutting out the entire head. I'm not going to go into the little details of it yet. I just want a big outline available. So yes, just carefully cut out his head. And take notice too, Spider-Man's head is not a perfect oval. He actually does have a jawline and a chin. So just, be aware when you're doing it. Okay, now I've got some red gum paste here. You could use fondant if you wanted to, or excuse me, fondant if you wanted to. You would probably not need to add any CMC or Tyler's powder or anything like that to it since it's going on the side of my cake. If you wanted it to freestand, you would have to stiffen it up, of course. Now, I just traced out the entire mask, as you see. I'm trying to pay attention to that jaw. Don't want to lose this jawline there. And I'm just kind of rubbing around the edges of it in order to smooth and round off the sides. I didn't want a sharp edge. I wanted it more of a rounded edge to give it more of the mask feel, I guess, and not just a perfect cutout feel. So that's all I'm doing, just going around the edges with my fingers and just rubbing it out. Now I've got my scissors again, and I'm going to cut out his mask, or the eyes, excuse me, from his mask. I'm going to cut each one, and I'm going to do the black and the white together, and you'll see in a second I'm going to get rid of the white, but I'm not worried about that yet. And I cut it out carefully so I could use it as a reference too. So when I place the eyes on, I'll be able to place them appropriately. Now right here I'm using my X-Acto knife to trace out the white in the center of the eyes and get it nice and empty. And I'm using some black gum paste here now to trace just the black part. So I've got the outline going there, and I am going to then hollow it out. Now my red gum paste, I did roll out, it's pretty darn thin, like maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. And the black I rolled out even thinner because I wanted it to not stick out too far from the rest of the mask, like a little bit's okay, but I didn't want it to be too far out, so I tried to make it super thin. All right, now I've got my black eyes there. I'm going to put them on the mask, and I'm using my template like I had said before. That's why I carefully cut them out in order to position them so that they'll sit on the face properly. Once that's all situated, I'm going to use my white cutouts that I made, or that I used earlier, or cut out earlier, to cut out some white gum paste, and that will then fill in his eyes. You might have to, when you cut it out, you might have to pinch the edges in a little bit to make it fit, because you don't want it to overlap on the black. You want it to sit inside and then fill it in. So I kind of, pinched it closed a little bit to put it in, and now I'm kind of mushing it back open to fill in all the gaps there. And once you're done filling all your spaces up, you got a cool look going already. All right, now I'm going to show you what I did here to get the lines on his face. I have a black edible food coloring marker, and you start with one line straight down his face, as straight as you can do it. And then I made a little dot between the eyes, and from that dot I'm going to have 2 lines coming out and curving down from each of my 4 corners now, basically. I'm going to put 3 lines by his eyes and do the same thing on the other side. Try to match the location of those 3 lines with the other eye, so they all coordinate and jive as best you can. Once you have your lines in, you're going to start connecting them by using the spider webbing pattern. Now his webbing is kind of shaped like little letter U's or C's or whatever you want to call them, but the bottom bowl of the U always faces the center of the mask. So you can see I've got a big loop going, but it's heading toward that center of the mask. I'm putting some little touches on the sides. I couldn't really, fit in all the details that were in the mask because it was a lot. And I feel like if I had done that, I might have just made it too busy because I am using a big thick marker to do this. So I, took some liberties, but I felt like this effect was very good. It came out looking pretty sharp. So yes, once again, now that I'm on the bottom of the mask, my U's are now like upside down U's, as you can see, because again, the bowl of it, the curve of it is facing toward the center of the mask. And just keep going toward the center of the mask as tight and small as you can without it looking stupid or jumbled up or mushed together, you know? Okay, so now I'm just going to put that aside and leave it alone. I'm going to show you real quick how to make some simple buildings, which are perfect for any superhero decoration cake that you're going to do. It's a great filler. It looks good. You know, highly recommend it. Anybody can do this. Cut out some squares, different size squares. With my different size squares, I'm going to make different little cuts on them or no cuts at all. Like that one, I took a little wedge off it, flip it over, put it on the other side. Now I've got an equal wedge on the other side. And now I've got two buildings with a sloping roof. There you go. So it's not hard at all. And the more variety in the shape that you have with your buildings, the more interesting of a skyline you can build. So it's always good to have a couple plain rectangles as well. In the large circles, I like to take a little nip out of the top and then cut it in half like that. So now I've got like a two-tiered type building going, effect going. And you might have to clean up your edges a little bit, like the plastic cutters. They're the best ones I could find that were like affordable, but they're plastic and so their edges aren't as sharp as you might hope them to be. So you might have to clean up some edges, is all I'm saying. All right, for my last set of buildings here, I'm going to cut just a little peak at the top. So now I've got a nice pointy roof on my building here. All right, so I've got some buildings. You can make as many buildings as you want, as few buildings as you want, make them as tall as you want, you know, whatever. Now I took some white food coloring. It's just straight up white food coloring. There's no alcohol or water or anything mixed in. And I have a flat paintbrush. It's not a rounded, you know, bristled one. It is a flat one. And I'm just putting some dabs on my buildings to kind of mimic lights in the buildings. And if you keep them kind of in line, you know, try to keep them in line, give it some type of reason, but you don't have to fill it in all the way either. If you just have a few here and there scattered around the way I'm doing, just kind of whatever you feel, it will give it a very cool look and it will make it, in my opinion anyway, a little more authentic because a lot of times buildings with apartments or whatever in them don't have all the lights on all at the same time. So yeah, I'm again just using a little bit of food coloring, just dab, dab, dab. It will make it a little tricky when you put these buildings on the cake that you don't, you know, smear the paint, the wet food coloring, but it makes for a cool look. So yeah, that's how you can make some buildings and how you can make a Spider-Man mask for a really cool Spider-Man cake. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe because it really does help me out. We can help each other. I've got a lot of other videos and many other superhero videos out there. They are super too. But in the meantime, take a look at them and thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.